It's essential to use async and await to make API calls in C#. Coming up, we'll show you why that is and how to await an async operation. But first, let's see how we can write an async method in C#. Let's go into our HTTP service. At the moment, we've got this method called getProduct, which returns a type of product. To make it asynchronous, we need to return a type of task, adding our return type as the generic type. The task represents an asynchronous operation that can return a value. If we go into the HTTP service, it's implementing the HTTP service, so we need to make the change in there as well. Once again, we return a type of task and we need to add the async keyword to make it asynchronous. At the moment, we're not awaiting any async operations in here. Before we await an async method, let's have a look at the differences between synchronous and asynchronous. Let's just say that you're in a shop and there is one person assisting to the customers. You join the queue and you are the next person to be served. This is fine as you're next in the queue and you shouldn't have to wait too long. But what if 3 more customers join the queue? The customer who has joined the back of the queue is going to have to wait until the other 4 customers in front of them have been served before it's their turn. This will lead them to waiting a long time in the queue and undoubtedly a lot of frustration. This is an example of a synchronous operation, as each customer has to wait for the customers ahead of them to be served by the same assistant before they reach the front of the queue. But there is an alternative. In this same situation, just say 2 more assistants come out and help serve the customers. All of a sudden, there are now 3 queues which are much shorter. A customer can be served by anyone and still get the same result. So should I use async in all of my methods? No, you shouldn't. Just say we had 3 assistants working, but only 1 person in the queue. The other 2 assistants aren't doing anything, meaning that they are a complete waste of resource. Take this simple operation. It'd be reasonable to expect your application to be able to add 2 numbers together whilst hardly taking any resource. As a result, this can be handled by the main thread and can remain synchronous. Asynchronous tasks are best for tasks that can take up a lot of resource. Such examples include making an API call, making a database call, or uploading a file. One common factor with these tasks is that they have to make a call outside of the application. Therefore, network connection and traffic congestion can be reasons why we make these calls async, as we don't know for sure when we are going to be returned with a response. The problem with blocking threads is that it's almost certainly going to be an issue in production when there are too many requests. If a thread is blocked, it can't do anything until it's unblocked. The solution for this is to await an async command, and therefore the thread can go off and do other operations whilst it waits for the response. The web is asynchronous by design. Just say a request to an API takes on average 500 milliseconds to process and you are in 50th position in the queue. You'd have to wait 24.5 seconds before your request is processed if it was synchronous. Fortunately, the web is asynchronous by design. When you load up a web page, you don't usually wait for the other 12 people in front of you to load up the website before it's your turn. As well as that, when you load up the web page, the extra resources like images, CSS and JavaScript files seem to be loaded at the same time, as these are handled by different threads. With ASP.NET Core MVC and Web API, each request is handled asynchronously, meaning that an application with heavy traffic can still handle the requests in a fraction of a second. However, there are still operations within these requests that can be resource intensive and can slow an application down. If we go into our program.cs file, we've added this HTTP client called dummy.json. Within that, we set the HTTP client instance base address to dummyjson.com. That means we're going to be making API calls to that host. If we go to the HTTP service, we're injecting the HttpClient client factory into the service. We're going to be creating HTTP clients from that. And to find out why that is the correct way of doing it, check out our video at youtube.com/@roundthecode. We're now going to make our API call. First, we need to create a new instance of the HTTP client. In order to do that, we declare the variable, then we call HTTP client factory, which is our instance that we've injected. We call the create client method, and we pass in dummy.json as the parameter. If we go to the program.cs file, we can see that when we added the HTTP client, we gave it the name of dummy.json, and that is the base address for it. Next, we're going to make our API call. In order to do that, we're going to declare a new response, and then we're going to call the await keyword because it's asynchronous, and we're going to call HttpClient get async, and the endpoint that we're going to call is products/ID. The response is null, we're just going to return null. Otherwise, we're going to check that there's a successful response from the HTTP call. So we call ensure successful status code. And then finally, we're going to read from the JSON. So we await that method. We call http response.content.read from JSON async, and we pass in product as the generic type. The product represents some of the properties that we will get from the JSON. If we don't use the await keyword, the application will continue to run the method, even so this operation is still running. That means that if it gets to here, we may not have a successful status code, and therefore it's going to cause us some problems. One of the good things about asynchronous programming is that we can start some tasks and we can await for some or all of them to complete. They can all run in the background at the same time. We've created an API controller called HTTP controller, and we're injecting the HTTP service. We set our 3 asynchronous tasks, so we're getting the product with an ID of 1, 2, and 3. We've called Task.WhenAll, and we're awaiting that. This ensures that all 3 tasks are complete before it goes on to the next line. We could change this to Task.WhenAny. The problem with that though is that if any of these tasks complete, it means it will go on to the next line, meaning we might not have a result for all of them when it gets to there. Using the WhenAll method in Task, ensure that all our tasks are complete before returning the response. In addition to that, we can also await a delay. To do that, we call Task.Delay, and we can call a time span. And for this, we're going to set 500 milliseconds. This means that the thread is delayed for 500 milliseconds, but it doesn't block it. We can also run our task as a delegate. In order to do that, we call await Task.Run, and we pass in empty parameters, and within that, we can add our operation. Now we can await the task here, or we can set the task as a variable, and we can await it further down in the method. When using async, Microsoft considers that you use configure await of false. The method allows for a task instance to configure its awaiter. This, however, doesn't seem to be applicable with ASP.NET Core applications. However, it also considers using value task where possible. As task is a reference type, so using it means allocating an object. So task is a class, whereas value task is a struct. Consider whether you want to use value task over task. In this video, we showed you how to make API calls. Watch this video next, where we show you how to use HttpClient the correct way. By using it the correct way, it will ensure that you won't have too many instances of the HTTP client open at the same time. It will also prevent DNS issues and your application throwing socket exceptions.